This is the bonus section podcast, episode number 91. Keep adding responsibilities. Are you the type of person that knows you were meant for something greater in this lifetime, and that somewhere inside of you, there's just this bigger version of yourself trying to break through? But despite all your self-development attempts, you just can't seem to find the way up there towards those goals? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the bonus section and the host of this podcast. And I'm a person just like you, trying to learn how to live the most fulfilling life possible. So to help you take immediate action to move in a better direction for yourself, we take all the notes for each episode and we post them for a short period of time at freethinkingtools.com, because that's what they are. We're trying to provoke you to think for yourself about your life, your goals, and your action steps to get there. freethinkingtools.com. We only leave a couple episodes up there because I don't want you scrolling through and doing nothing. Try to see the episodes that are up there, match it with the latest podcast that's active. Sit down somewhere quiet and please spend some time thinking. It is just one of the highest level things you can do to figure stuff out for yourself. I love to think, right? Find that place. All right, keep adding responsibilities. Yikes. What? Isn't that like adding more responsibility to my already full plate super stressful, you're saying? What are you talking about? I'm drowning in responsibilities now. If you're younger, I have all these responsibilities of figuring out school and all the schoolwork, and I'm trying to balance that with playing a sport, joining a club, being an instrument. And, a lot of us, we just get so overwhelmed by all that. We stress out and we detach. And now we're living this depressed loner life. I mean, maybe you have kids and a business and you're juggling relationships and all this stuff. And I'm asking you to add more responsibility? What am I, nuts? Nope. I've been hearing this theme recurring. And so the first thing I did, and I'll tell you a little bit of an anecdote myself, I started to think to myself as the founder originally of a real estate company, to sell residential property. That was a pretty big endeavor in and of itself. You're taking on the responsibility of helping people with the single largest financial and emotional transaction in their life. That's a big responsibility. And then you start to think, man, I'm going to add a lot of people and I'm going to build a company and I'm responsible for those people. And now to this day, I'm licensed in multiple states and I'm taking responsibility for more people. So it sounds stressful. But what if I also told you that I also coach a group of top producers who are near and dear to my heart, a lot of the people I've coached for a long time, and we're involved in a body of work to really try to put together a system that can be shared. We've spent now 10 years doing that, and every Monday or Tuesday, my plate is filled with one-on-one coaching, and then the rest of the week, multiple coaching calls. Then what if I told you I had to start a website company so all of that could be put together, and I have to spend time with my partner who's over in Belgium online. And then what if I told you I have a passion project to give away the best head stuff I've learned right here on the bonus section? And what if I told you I had to sit down and do these 3 podcasts on I'm looking out the window here, it's a Saturday, and I can see the sun is shining out there in Cape Cod, and I'm here being responsible. And then what if I told you I have 5 kids, a wife, and a family, and everybody I have to be responsible to? Would you crack and say I'm a lunatic? Would you explain me away and saying, well, that's just you? Or what would you do? Why? What makes me any different from anybody else? You all talk to me about time management. Everybody out there that comes to me, I don't know what to do with my time, or I don't know how to get more out of it like you do. And the truth is that by adding more responsibilities in my life, it has forced me to be a great editor of time. So, and I've done a podcast on editing time. But when you put yourself under that kind of stress by being that responsible to that many things and people, what you do is you recognize that if you're going to be a stand-up person and an honest person in the effort there, something's going to give. And you're going to start to cut out this dangerous white space that we're all being sucked up into like a vacuum. And 3 of my 5 kids are of an age bracket. My first 2, there was a little break before the third. And just that little break in time was enough for technology to almost be born in the last 3 in their hands. And so all of the procrastination and the time and the dopamine addiction that they have to scrolling, and so do we. We have it too. But I just don't have that much time to do it because I have filled the white space with clear goals that are important to me. See, to me, the greatest equity that you get out of doing what you want to do and working really hard at it and being responsible to it, the greatest equity is fulfillment. You feel fulfilled. And along the way, you feel progress fighting for that. Some days you get punched in the nose and life knocks you down and you're exhausted. And you have to, I joke, I have to drag my carcass through the door to do these, right? Some days you probably go back and look at some of my episodes. My eyes have huge bags in it. Yesterday, I drove all the way from Cape Cod to New York, 4 hours in the morning, 5 hours and 46 minutes on the way back. That was yesterday. But I'm here today. Why? Because the progress of sharing a message with you is invigorating. Think about a recharging hybrid battery. So I was driving, we have a Volvo, and I was driving that down. And I marveled at this car that when I got in it, put the gas in, and we were doing some city driving, all of a sudden the mileage went from 22, 23 miles a gallon to 30. And the capacity for the car went further. Well, that's the way I feel when I do things like this that make me feel fulfilled, because giving away my best stuff for free is fulfilling to me. It's fulfilling. I do plenty of business magnetically attracting in the people by giving away that business, my best stuff for free. That's what my content is. My best what to do information for free, all three of them in 3 of my businesses. And so, yes, the thought of adding stuff could be stressful, but I'm a living testimony to it becomes the great editor. You start to get rid of things, and that's the next point, right? How do you really get going? How do you take this action? So I've got 2 points here I wrote down. One is, at least start being responsible. This is if you feel stressed by my anecdotal thing, because this was a journey that didn't happen overnight. Just kept adding these responsibilities. But the second thing is, at least start with being responsible for your current obligations. So I've had multiple conversations lately with people that if you just sort of take the word responsibility and you get up above your life right now, and you look at your current obligations and responsibilities. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you have schoolwork. Maybe you have something you're dedicated to, a job, whatever it might be. How responsibly are you acting in that context? So I think just the first thing I could recommend is get in touch with the word responsible. What does it mean? Because usually if you hear it from a parent or an authoritative figure in your life, hey, you got to be more responsible. It's a negative thing when it comes at you like that, right? If somebody else is trying to criticize you for not being responsible, because responsible is often used in that negative context, I'm going to flip the script on it and say, responsibility is not a burden. It's like that hybrid recharging battery. It's actually a catalyst. But you have to first take an inventory of how it's working for you now. Are you even trying to use responsibility as a recharging battery? I mean, are you really digging in on your current obligations and commitments to test what responsibility could feel like in a positive way? Interesting, right? When you look at it from that perspective. But maybe you're looking at some of those commitments and obligations and you're saying, that sucks. Why am I committed to that thing? Why am I responsible for that thing? That thing doesn't even matter to me. How did I even get there? Now, slippery slope. I'm not going to go down there and suggest what I'm talking about. It could be a lot of context, from relationships to jobs, to whatever it might be. You might find yourself in a spot where you've made yourself obligated to something that's really draining you, and you simply and truthfully don't want to be responsible to it, and you have choice. Like, look, it's my feeling that as a father of kids, I signed up for that obligation. I'm committed to that obligation. I can sit here and I can bitch and moan about how it doesn't go my way or whatever it is, but I signed up for that one. And it's never going away. It's the condition of the life that I chose. So I have to be responsible there. Now, does that mean that I'm going to coddle somebody past adult age? Of course not. Of course not. I learned a great little hierarchy that you walk along when you have children. For example, in the beginning, you're the cop. You're all over them, telling them what to do. Stop, do this. You're the cop. The next thing is you become the coach. All right, hold on. Adjust this. That wasn't bad. Get back up. Calm. You're a coach. And in the end, you're a consultant. Well, I might suggest that you could consider this. So you evolve. There's no hard line where you have to kick somebody like in the teeth that you love and you're responsible for and care about. And a lot of people go, oh yeah, because I joke all the time, right? I joke. I said, I keep downsizing so that nobody fits in the house, but me and my wife. That's it, right? And I joke. I can't wait till they leave. I joke. Well, I want them to do that. The world needs them, not me. I don't want to keep them back. The world needs them. Go pursue the passion. Do the thing, right? Entertain the people. Right? Make somebody's life better. Go serve others your way. I'm all for that. But what about the stuff that somehow snuck in and we feel obligated to it? Why? You have this power of choice. So there are things that you feel responsible for that you're not really. And maybe it's become an excuse to not thrive and not move on. So maybe, just maybe, you have to clean house first. So first, you're going to become cognizant of all these things that you are responsible for and ask yourself how you're doing in the ones that are serious commitments that you made. But then there's a lot that are sort of these tacit commitments and obligations. Get rid of them. That's what I mean about editing. I mean, in some of these things you'll like to do. You might be hanging around with a lot of friends and, going out too often or whatever it might be. And maybe that's got to give. Maybe it's got to give. Oh, but I know. But I'm saying, if you are super fulfilled in something that's positive, and you feel strong love, and you feel strong progress, and you feel like goal achievement is happening, wonderful. That's probably a pretty good clue that you should be more responsible to that thing, and maybe that's the thing you can add responsibility to. Sure, you can grow it, but there is some stuff you got to get rid of. So whether it's a big one fell swoop, you have to clean house, or there are little things you have to chip away at, just be an editor of what you're responsible to. Now, the bonus section of the bonus section podcast today is that by adding more responsibility in your life, you're constantly calling upon your true capabilities. Let's talk about this. If you really, really start to dig in to be more responsible, what are you typically doing? Well, you're studying more. You're learning more. You're listening a lot more. You're observing. You're seeing what the truth of something is. So you're becoming more academically inclined. Perhaps even your emotional quotient is rising because you're more thorough and more holistic. Everything's more reasonable. A lot of good things are coming from this. So what's happening is you're becoming a bigger version of yourself. I say it in the beginning of this podcast. You're frustrated you're not becoming a bigger version of yourself? Well, gauge how responsible you are to something that matters to you, and then gauge the action steps that you're taking. See, to be responsible, you got to take some action. You can't sit on the couch and be responsible for something, can you? You have to at least open up the laptop and do some work. You have to at least get off your butt and drive somebody to some place. Go somewhere. Do something. It's action. Responsibility takes physical, emotional, and intellectual steps, action steps, right? So by doing that, you're calling on more capability. See, here's the saddest thing about the human endeavor. First of all, we come out of the womb pretty dumb. And it takes a long time for the frontal lobe, especially us guys, right? It takes a long time for the frontal lobe to even develop and start to put things together. I've had teachers tell me that, up to the age of 25, it can take for the frontal lobe to develop. So all of this opportunity of this energy, this natural energy, is wasted on, the dumb because we don't know what we don't know, especially that young. But you look back and you say, oh my gosh, but wait a minute. What if we could share this message with somebody young? And I just did this yesterday twice. And I could see new neural networks coming on because this is logical stuff. Okay? This is common sense put in the right order. That's all it is, right? Somebody looked at one of my business plans for buyers and sellers of homes, and they said, this is nothing more than organized common sense. And I'm saying it as a compliment, they said to me. I said, oh, amen. You got me. That's exactly what I want this to be. And it's the same stuff with this advice. Come on, responsibility is a pretty simple word. Just get up above what you're obligated to and committed to and ask yourself, how responsible are you? Meaning, how many action steps are you taking? How far are you digging in? How much work are you doing when being responsible is a bear? Right? When being responsible for a child who's screaming in an airport and you have to get them on the plane to get home to see family or whatever, and they're screaming. Like, what are you made of in that moment in time? What do? Do you call upon the best of yourself? See, there's a lot of that stuff. So what you're doing is you're putting yourself into these stressful situations for something that matters and you care about it. And if you really just take a beat and say, I'm going to be the best version of that I can in this place right now, right here, right now. And it's stunning what you begin to release, what's possible for you. But if you throw your own tantrum in these kind of moments, where are we going? We're going backwards. Now we're all stressed out. Now we feel terrible about this responsibility. Now we're angry. Now there's pressure on the job, the relationship, whatever. It's not good. But if you get proactive in this and you're adding more positive responsibilities, or you're being, very aware of this thing. Let's say you have a business, like I have multiple businesses. I'm aware of where could the shadow be? Where could the cloud come from? Because I'm responsible to all these people. I want to be out in front of it. I don't want to be sitting there going, oh, this is great. I got all these people, right? No, I'm responsible. Hey, everybody, what do you think? Where's the challenge? Where's the opportunity? What's going on? We keep the agenda moving forward. You going to school? Everybody going back to school right now? When I'm doing this podcast? How responsible are you? Do you know what really the classes are about you're about to take? Have you even looked at the textbook in advance? Are you responsible? Are you going to hit the ground running and be the best? Are you going to get in a good relationship with the teacher? Are you going to say, oh, he's a jerk, she's a jerk, they're a jerk. What? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? That's not your best. That's not what you're capable of. That's not evolution. That's lazy. That's the animal brain begging you to lay off. Animal brain doesn't want to hear this conversation today. The thriving brain does. The thriving brain, if you're listening to me and you're feeling it, your thriving brain is lighting up. And it's telling the animal brain, shut up. Shut up. Because your animal brain says this is way too much. Says the lion inside of us, right? This is way too much. This is taking way too many calories. Responsible. Just put some food on the table. Take a nap. Scroll up. I got dopamine over here. Dopamine, and oxytocin and serotonin, all those things. We don't need all that. Just need a little dopamine here. Just got a little fix. Scroll over here. Watch a couple of YouTube videos. Go to bed. Wake up tomorrow. You'll get at least a B- in that class. C+. You got a C. Oh, that's all right. It's good enough. That's your animal brain. It just wants to eat and sleep. It's all it wants to do. It's not its fault. And you think the animal is great? I said to one of my kids the other day, let me ask you a question about the animal brain. If you're living by that, and go back and look at my last podcast about lying, it dovetails with this nicely. I said, the animal brain wants to lie to you about thriving. Oh, thriving doesn't matter. Well, it does, because you're not an animal. You're not a lion, right? Lion, apex predator, top of the food chain, right? But what does it do? It goes out and it eats and it falls asleep the rest of the day. There's no thriving. I said to him, when's the last time you saw a lion build a house? He just started laughing. See, because there's no thriving brain that we're going to have to reconcile with. See, at some point in time in your life, and it's pretty much daily, you're reconciling the fact that you're not becoming truly capable of what you're capable of becoming, right? You're not evolving this capability by being responsible and leaning into it and giving the thriving brain a chance. Don't worry, Mr. Lion Brain. You'll have plenty of time to sleep and recover and do all that. That's why sleep matters, right? Because your inner lion does need to lie down and recover. But your thriving brain needs this. And I'll argue that when you start to pursue more responsibility and become more capable, there's just this weird hybrid battery inside of you that recharges itself beyond your expectations. Then it makes you want to be more responsible about what you eat to feed that crazy recharging battery. I'm telling you, I live this firsthand. I'm not saying it's easy. There are plenty of shitty days. but there are way more interesting, good recharge days because I'm pursuing these things and adding more responsibility and learning how to deal with that and finding a much greater capability. All right, enough. I get too passionate on this, the passion project. Keep adding responsibilities. Here are the 4 points. 1, but isn't being more responsible stressful? Well, sure, but it's in a positive way. Because 2, at least you can start with being responsible or more responsible for your current obligation. Good place to start talking about responsibility. And maybe even further, you have to clean house. Maybe you're being responsible for things that don't matter to you or are really detrimental to your mental health. Get rid of them. But the bonus section today of the Bonus Section podcast is that adding more responsibility in your life constantly calls upon your true capabilities. And man, when you start to get introduced to those, whoo-wee. I'll summarize it by saying the idea of taking on more responsibilities in your life might sound overwhelming when you first hear it, but at the very least, when you hear it, it's a wake-up call to be more responsible for your current obligations and commitments. To take that first step, you might have to do an honest housekeeping clean out of all the negative commitments you've already made. But once you're reoriented, add more responsibilities that push you to find your true capacity and capability to release the greatest version of yourself that's buried inside. All right, remember, you can take immediate action and get moving towards your goals because we take all the notes from each episode and we post them at freethinkingtools.com, and we give you instant access to a couple episodes at a time so you have something to work on. Also, don't forget, of course, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever we syndicate and you listen. We'd also let you know that we post our content. The video version of this podcast is on YouTube. So don't forget, you can subscribe to the Bonus Section channel, the Bonus Section channel. You'll see the videos over there. And if you're like me and you like to listen to YouTube videos in the gym, maybe this inspires you. Maybe we'll put some music behind this. I'll have to tell my editor. Time to put some highlights for the bonus section. We'd also appreciate it if you join our mission of becoming people for others and share our content with other people just like you so they get some help, right? Remember this, though. Nobody's coming for you. Absolutely nobody. Nobody's coming to save you. So go get to work on yourself and a better plan for your goals. And we will be here in the next episode to agitate you to do just that. Thanks.